Hey everybody, welcome back to another Film of the Week. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. And I figured for this Film of the Week, since we have another blockbuster arriving in theaters, or at least a big budgeted type film, that being of course the latest Godzilla film, Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, which I will be reviewing on this channel. Initially, I wasn't really interested in seeing it, but I don't know. Hey, I mean, I'll be seeing it on a Tuesday, so it's cheap. And hey, I mean, I'm kind of in the mood for some schlock. So well, maybe it won't be schlock. Who knows? But I mean, who am I kidding? But we will be checking it out. But I figured just to, because I've been really on a Godzilla kick for a few days, just revisiting a lot of the films and specifically wanted to review this film because of the history that is attached with it, and uh, and just figured just because I don't think we've ever addressed the specific film. That film that we're going to be reviewing is, of course, the original Godzilla, which was written and directed, I believe, by Ishiro Honda. I think that's how you say his name. Who would go on to direct many other films within this franchise. It could become a franchise, one of which we have reviewed, Ghidorah, the Three-Headed Monster, which was also directed by him, and he would also direct other films starring different monsters that would coincide within Godzilla's world. So I believe he directed Mothra, Rodan, just tons and tons of stuff that would eventually, become that of the Godzilla world. But the origin point of Godzilla, the original film, released in 1954, is very interesting because, to set it up, obviously, it's 1954 and set in Japan, and there's frequent bomb testing, just hydrogen bombs specifically that are being just dropped into the ocean, just like very, very frequently. And what the results of that are is the awakening of an ancient creature that has been around for millions of years and like lying dormant or kind of just keeping to himself in a below the surface, deep within the ocean surface, and and because of all of these testings that are happening, it awakens this creature, or at least gives this creature some form of life. That creature, of course, becoming Godzilla himself, who is like just imbued with radiation, and just incredibly high, like 165 feet, I believe they said, and begins to wreak havoc across the world as our humans, the protagonists that we follow in the story, try to fight Godzilla, try to find a weak point, and within also discovering the creation of Godzilla, and packaged within that discovery is ultimately the commentary that is in this film. Now, the interesting history that comes with Godzilla is, and I'm not sure if it's entirely true. I only got it off of like one source, one comment that I saw when revisiting some of the scenes from this film. Just now, I've watched a good half of the film from beginning to end to revisit, to remind myself how I felt about the film. And the thing that I found out was that apparently Japan at this time was very adamant on not having depictions of the atomic bomb, or at least representations of what happened in Nagasaki. All the things that happened, tragic events that unfolded with the atomic bomb, and with just dropping of those nuclear weapons. They were very adamant on not having depictions of that in the entertainment sphere, within film and all those other platforms. It was prohibited at the time. So to avoid those restrictions, to avoid those censorships, the Ashiro Honda, I believe is how you say his name, the director, went about just using the creature in Godzilla as a metaphor for that, for the atomic bomb, and using that as a way to disguise ultimately what is a piece of commentary, a film that has an agenda driving it. It's not just a creature feature. It's not just that. It's not a monster flick. You know, what's packaged within the film, quite blatantly when you watch the film. I mean, they address it like multiple times, in debates within hearings, and just some comments that are just kind of thrown to the side, like just mentioned like briefly about Nagasaki, and like it's very apparent when you watch it that the film's ultimate messages are about the atomic bomb, and about the weaponry itself, the destructive capabilities that come along with those sort of weapons. But it's also, within also a certain point of view, also addressing that of life itself, about our relations to nature, how we should preserve life, and about how we should not kill what we don't understand. Kind of a message that we would come to find probably in a lot of monster flicks, specifically that of King Kong, which kind of reins in similar ideas. So it's a film that does have that is definitely packaging within a certain agenda, and has a certain idea that isn't just for spectacle. And what would follow from the other Godzilla, from this film, would be more or less just what is in front of you, what is just the monster, just the spectacle of it. Some films have dipped into just the original concept of Godzilla. I would say the most recent film, Godzilla -1, is the closest attempt, at least as far as I can tell, just from my very, I've only seen a few of the Godzilla films. But just based on my own experiences with Godzilla, just what I've seen from the series, -1 is easily the closest to that original concept. Because the original concept is not concerned as much with the monster, but more to do with what the monster represents, which I think gives Godzilla more fear and more intimidation when you see him on screen, and when you understand that whole mentality, that whole purpose in showing Godzilla, the fact that he is basically that of nuclear destruction, and just that literal metaphor of what he is. There's certain details within the representation that become much more that add more weight to the overall spectacle. The fact that when Godzilla moves, when you hear his footsteps, his presence, when his presence is known, those boom, boom, boom. Of course, those are meant to be representations of bombs dropping. When you hear him just coming, it's the sound of bombs dropping. When you see the aftermath of his destruction, it's meant to be an illustration of the aftermath of dropping such bombs. There's literal footage of them of dropping hydrogen bombs in the ocean and showing those explosions. It's very apparent, and I think that sort of blatant representation can work against it, because it doesn't take a genius to understand the whole idea behind Godzilla. It's very apparent as to what's going on. There's also the word I would say to describe Godzilla's execution in overall ideas is hovering, because it sort of floats around its subjects, and within that you get a lack of characteristics in the human story. Not to say that it isn't noteworthy or uninteresting. It's just to say it is not as meaty as the overall spectacle is, and the overall just aesthetic, what those aesthetics were representing. Whereas that later on it would seem more balanced out, in that everything just seems like it's just not as purposeful as time will go on, in this franchise. But in this film, though, there is that those details. There is that sense of uneasiness, and a lot that it has to do with is just the realization of what Godzilla is, what Godzilla ultimately is meant to be in this context. Um, and it's engaging, it's interesting. I do think though it's a bit blatant in its overall execution. Like again, if you don't get it by like the first hour, then I don't know what, by like halfway through the film, if you don't understand what Godzilla is, metaphorically speaking, then you really need the movie to spell it out for you. But but just by spectacle, I mean, it's interesting. I liked the original approach to Godzilla, less CGI, more practicality. I liked how that gives it scale to Godzilla. It's not just a guy just walking around aimlessly, or kind of giving you not giving you that sense of what's the word I'm looking for, like when I look at this Godzilla, I feel his size, and other times it feels like we're not getting that sense of scale. So I like that we get that sense of scale. And I like the overall destruction. I like that that's, again, a lot of it's on camera. It's not just CGI. I think all of it's on camera. So it's I'll put it this way: it's a basic monster flick that gets a boost in wakefulness because of what its metaphors are. In that it has an agenda. It wants to make some commentary, and thankfully that fusion within spectacle and commentary is warranted, and you ultimately do find yourself interested in a capacity that isn't just, oh wow, look at that big old monster thing. It's also, hey, there's also some ideas that they're wishing to address here, and it's executed in a fashion that is as good, but I wouldn't say great. I feel that, again, that it likes to float around its subjects and not really let us sit within that circumstance. So within that, the emotional heft is rather absent, which is where I would favor more of -1, because I felt more of that emotional edge, especially embedded within the characters. It feels a lot more present, less so here, in my opinion. But it's good. It's good, and it works because of just what that of that commentary being present. Though, again, like I said, it's a bit obvious, but it's good, because without that, it would be pretty generic. But thankfully, it's there, and it gives it more credit, and gives it more that's just the word, it gives it more since it's there. But if it wasn't there, then just look at what the other films were, and you can see what happens. So yeah, it's good, but I wouldn't say it's great. But yeah, so those are my thoughts on Godzilla. I like it. It's good, but I would not go as far as to say it's great, or that it's like this heavy-hitting sort of piece. It's interesting in historical knowledge, like just learning about stuff about the film, and where credit is due. Like I said, commentary that is there is interesting. It does give heft to the overall aesthetic of the film, but not so much in the overall connections of characters. It's a film that likes to float and not really sit, in that circumstance. And within that, there's a distance emotionally for me. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Godzilla. You guys know your thoughts on Godzilla if you guys have seen the original Godzilla, and of course your thoughts on the franchise in general, where things have gone. Tons of movies from this franchise, like over 30 films or something like that. If you guys have seen Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire, it's an interesting title. Let me know your thoughts about the film in the comment section below. Was it good? Was it bad? I've heard some okay things. So I'll be checking it out on Tuesday, and we'll see how it went. But yeah, so those are some of my thoughts, and thank you guys for tuning in. And yeah, so that's gonna be it. So, sorry, I'm just a little flustered. Just, I don't know what happened. Started getting a little flustered, um, for just hot, really, I guess. But I don't know. But thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.